Okay, guys, welcome to our next installment with Sheldon Dix this time. Okay, of our interviews, we had John Dix, Sheldon's dad, previously in another interview, the Petal High School coach. They were being joined very fortunately by Sheldon Dix, John's son, who's had a fantastic soccer career in terms of club football in the US, in terms of high school football, soccer, middle school soccer, and has now gone on to collegiate level as well. I mean, Sheldon, if you kind of just give a brief introduction, mate, about yourself and your soccer history and where you are today and what you've done so far, that would be fantastic, buddy.
Okay. So, guess start back in Texas before I moved to Mississippi. Started out in rec soccer, and played there for probably 3 or 4 years, and then ended up being old enough to play at a club there. It's called ACYSO. They were really like a main hub for a bunch of different club soccer teams. So there's probably like 20 or more at that one complex, and I started out there. Did a lot of skills training early on, which I was pretty lucky to have. I noticed when I moved to Mississippi, not a lot of people had done more skills training so much as they done just competitive play in general, and I think it's definitely helped me a lot. Let's see, I moved to Mississippi when I was 12, so started middle school. Joined the middle school team here. It's a good experience. It was definitely a hard one too. It was more of a mental battle because for our high school was one of the very few that let middle schoolers play on JV, and so when we had our games, we pretty much played anyone from 9th grade to 12th grade, and so they're pretty big. Most games we lost, so that for me was pretty hard, going from being able to play teams that I could really try and give up a fight against, and then to other teams where trying the hardest and it just kind of seems like nothing matters. That's around the time that I also found a club here, Hattiesburg Football Club, and started getting back into that competitive game and started to feel a lot better. I learned a lot more about the game as far as choices to make during it. I grew a lot of confidence too. Before, when I moved here, I pretty much didn't want to touch anybody in the game. It was like almost a goal in my head to not make contact with somebody. So when I had the ball, I was trying to just keep it away, pass as quick as I can. But I started learning pretty quick that it doesn't matter when you get older. It's going to be a lot of contact. So definitely gained a lot of experience from that.
That's fantastic insight, Charles. Obviously, I mean, again, we can kind of take it back to the start of you, mate. Obviously, I mean, I know you very well, and I know your dad very well. I mean, in terms of yourself, and let's kind of touch on different aspects of your whole life, Sheldon, as opposed to your football, soccer, which we can kind of get into a bit more. I mean, let's just kind of tell everyone about your health struggles, mate, and in terms of when you were born and kind of the difficulties you've had with your heart troubles and whatnot, and again what you've had to overcome just to be able to kind of live, never mind go and play football, soccer. Just kind of enlighten everyone on terms of what you've had to endure with your heart transplants and how that's been to kind of cope with it and deal with, buddy.
Okay. So when I was born with a condition called transposition. And so just kind of a quick, I guess, description of it is basically you have two arteries that are supposed to cross each other, and that's how your heart filters blood in and cleans it. And so it was backwards, and so I was getting dirty blood. The only reason I lived was because I was still connected to my mother. So as they cut me from the umbilical cord, my lips turned blue and couldn't breathe. And so one of the doctors said they knew exactly what it was. So they ended up flying me to, I'm not sure where it was, but to a doctor that was supposed to be the number one heart doctor. It turned out that guy had retired. So I ended up going to Nebraska to have open heart surgery. And so they basically cut the two arteries and switched them to where they're supposed to be. They call it an arterial switch, and then kind of sewed those back together. And then I had to be in the hospital for a few months to make sure everything was all right. Along with that, I ended up getting what's called a septic shock, and so I should have, from the doctor's word, should have died. I had pretty much a whole body infection. And that set back a lot of my growth. So, I didn't start talking until it was probably like a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years. And they had to teach me sign language. I just really was behind on a lot of stuff. But eventually, by the time, I guess, I was able to have memories and, remember what I'm doing and start playing soccer, that eventually was gone and my body had healed completely. I guess the main part that I've had trouble with health-wise was always being not as fit as other people, no matter how hard I tried. I noticed until I was 11, I had another heart surgery, and they had to fix a leaking valve. And so once I did that, I started to be able to really get a hold of my body and what I can do. It was definitely a challenge until then to try and keep up with others as far as fitness goes. And I don't know, I guess kind of definitely taught me to not take things for granted. It was, in a way, a life lesson for me that helped me even till now, and to know, like, not everything is just going to go crystal clear. There's going to be rocks in your path, and definitely helped me to get past those.
Of course, mate. No, I mean, again, just to hear your story, mate, is inspirational. I mean, obviously, I know you well, and I know kind of the struggle you've had to go to just to kind of be able to, live, let alone kind of go and kick a football, soccer ball, and obviously watching you and coach them. And obviously, let's kind of now revert back to your soccer now. Like we've kind of, again, spoken about your sheer desire in terms of being able to get over your health struggles and obviously how it's continued to kind of implicate your life and the way you've had to then deal with it and cope with it. You kind of started off at Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and obviously you went through into high school, through middle school at Petal, and obviously now you're playing collegiately, which is again a massive achievement, even without kind of the health scares you've had. And again, to have done it with the health scares you've had has been amazing, really, mate. So again, if you want to just kind of start from the beginning, Sheldon, in terms of your club soccer and how you first kind of got into that. I mean, when was the first time you really kicked a ball, Sheldon? Like, when was the first time you started playing football, soccer?
Probably when I was a little kid, 4 or 5, just in my backyard with my brother and my dad. My brother started before me, and so I kind of just kicked around with them whenever. And then played some rec on for a few years. That's where I guess where it all started. It was a lot of just practicing with my dad on our own, and at practice he was usually my coach throughout those years.
That's amazing, man. Again, obviously, you speak about your dad being your coach and whatnot. Obviously, I mean, the implications for that as well. How did you find it having your dad as your coach at Petal High School? How was it having your dad there throughout the whole journey in terms of supporting you, but having him as your coach too? Because obviously it can be quite daunting to have your dad as your coach. And how did you find having him as your coach during it all?
Well, I guess there's kind of two sides to it. As far as at soccer and like games, stuff like that, I liked it. It was definitely easier, obviously, to connect to the coach because he's my dad. So it's definitely easier to be close to my coach. It helped me too because he ended up, I guess, indirectly pushing me harder than others.
Mm-hmm.
And not if I made a mistake getting mad or something like that, but like pushing me to get it right the next time and always pushing me to be better, I guess, because he can give me more of that rougher, tough love, I guess you can call it. And it's definitely helped me to better myself. On the other hand, it's helped me, I I guess to learn to ignore others, because with him as my coach for a while, until I was really able to prove myself to other people. A lot of people thought I was on the team because of my dad, and they would always give me a lot of crap for that. And so for the first few years when I first moved here, that was kind of what it was around school, is I was on the soccer team because my dad was a coach. I can see why people would think that, and so it pushed me really hard to prove those people wrong, to let them know that I was there because of me, not because of anybody else.
No, definitely, mate. I mean, that's fantastic. Again, so we talk about that in that winning mentality, Sheldon, which you've obviously had to have instilled for me and whatnot. Again, I mean, how important, mate, would you say it is to have that winning mindset and to be able to adapt to anything that's kind of thrown your way and to be able to overcome it in terms of life, but obviously in terms of on the field too. How important would you say mindset and winning mindset is?
It was, I would say, crucial for me, and really, I think for any player that wants to go on past, really into any competitive soccer, it's all a mental game. And I've noticed it more the closer that I got to collegiate soccer, and when I got to college, where a lot of it was on the mental side of things, because it's you get into the game situation, and at the last 10 minutes, you're pretty much gassed, and then that's where it comes in. Am I going to push myself and try my best to do what I need to do and tell my team, and it's definitely been a help there.
Oh, fantastic, man. Obviously, trying to take it back a little bit more into yourself, Sheldon. I mean, who's your favourite all-time player, mate, and why? Who's the kind of player you looked up to most and thought, yeah, I want to try and be like them?
I guess Landon Donovan was my favorite pretty much growing up. He was a U.S. men's national team player. At first I kind of just liked him. I was like, oh, cool. And then the more I started actually looking at what he does, I just noticed the work ethic, and I liked it. I saw games where they were getting battered, and he would still try his hardest and push and keep attacking no matter how hard it was. And I had a few players like that. Even now, I've kind of switched up since he retired. I like a few players. I like Heung-min Son on Tottenham. I like his work ethic too. And a few games ago, he fractured his arm at the very beginning, but he kept going and pushed through. Ended up scoring 2 goals, and so I just always wanted to model myself after that. Is just try my hardest no matter what's come at me.
That's brilliant, mate. That's fantastic stuff, Sheldon. Obviously, Landon Donovan, a top player, and Heung-min Son, fantastic players as well. And again, just into your mindset, Sheldon, and the way you kind of go about things and the way you kind of deal with things and you kind of turn negatives into positives really is an inspiration, mate. And again, you deserve all that you've got now, obviously, in terms of collegiate level, which we'll touch on later. But again, kind of reverting back, so again, we've spoken about how you kind of had your health scares and health issues from birth and had to overcome them. And obviously, you started playing football, soccer at a young age. Obviously, your dad's a big influence in your life, and you kind of went into Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and you kind of went and played throughout there. I mean, how did you then kind of progress into the high school scene? I mean, how did you kind of go into that, and what was the steps you took to be able to go and play for your high school soccer team?
I guess I started out a lot of just messing around with the ball, getting as many touches as I could on my own. And my dad being a coach definitely helped. I was able to get some drills to do that you can do on your own for technical work, and I really just did that pretty much between 8th grade and 9th grade in the summer, and before 6th period was just messing around with the ball. And one of the main things I did that has definitely helped me was 9th grade. I would try to only use my right foot before practice, try and get that down. And I would just basically slow down on my left side, see what I did, and then try and replicate it with my right. And that's kind of how I just try to better myself so I could be ready for that high school game. And 10th grade was one of the years where to came down to game experience, that helped a lot. I noticed the speed of play was way faster, and so I had to get faster as well. Started trying to do some small area drilling things, like around cones, to help get my touches a lot closer, and that helped me a lot.
Brilliant stuff, man. Brilliant. Obviously, again, for those that don't understand the whole system out in the States, mate, and obviously don't understand how it kind of works, I mean, just kind of enlighten people, Sheldon, obviously, as someone that's come through the system. Enlighten them, obviously, on the club football side, the club soccer side, and then obviously your middle school, your high school, and then how it progresses into collegiate. How do they kind of start, mate, and how does it kind of all progress from one to another?
Okay. So, I would say, I guess, starting at middle school, depending on where you're at, you can go from club to middle school and just kind of start out playing, like slower level, and you start training a lot with the players around you, and you kind of build up that speed, and then kind of on the transfer from middle school to high school, the speed goes up a little bit more, and you gotta, I guess, adapt to that, and you gotta use others around you to push you to be better, and then do the same to those that are maybe younger than you, or need that push to bet themselves as well. And it kind of just works all together with that team aspect. Kind of work together as a team, pushing each other, encouraging each other, and working hard on your own is a big part of it, to better yourself in any way. And I would say, specifically for me, for how I got ready for college, I started having to do a lot of fitness. I wasn't that stressed in high school, because you played all sorts of teams. You played some teams that were very fit, and then other teams that weren't. But in college, they're all looking for the best players, so it's no longer playing the mix of it. They're pretty much all going to be decent speed, decent fitness, and so I had to push myself to do more running and more short distance sprints, trying to get faster, get stronger, more endurance. And then when I actually got there, or before I got there, I started playing with Port City under 23, and that was that next jump that I needed from high school to college, where it really picked up the pace, and it forced you to think quicker and react quicker, and that helped me to really prepare myself for a more realistic view of what college would be like. And it's kind of what I did. I guess if I was to suggest something to those wondering, is to always push yourself further than what your head is telling you can go. I noticed how I get tired in the last little bit, but I tell myself, one more time, and if I finished it, I would try and always go maybe one more rep than what I was supposed to, and that's kind of how I learned to control my mental side that's telling me you're tired, you can't do this anymore. And eventually I got better and up to that fitness level and that speed that I needed to be.
It's amazing stuff, man. Again, listen to your whole mindset and obviously how you overcome things. Again, is amazing. How you've trained your mind to really kind of have mind over matter and deal with things. I mean, again, you talk about your time at Port City, mate, as an under 23 player, kind of the link between high school and collegiate. Again, just kind of enlighten people on that, mate, and how the kind of summer soccer kind of works, the summer football. Tell people how you got kind of put in contact with Port City and how that kind of worked over those times.
So I got in contact because I was in the All-Star team, and my coach was the coach of Port City. So I just got in contact with him. I had missed tryouts because at the All-Star game, I ended up injuring my ankle pretty bad. So I missed the tryouts, but I got in contact with him. Came out for like a tryout on one of their practice days, and just tried my best like it was any other tryout. And eventually we would practice 3 times a week, and I would make it to there every week. And they had a spot for me on the roster at first because I joined late, but eventually some people had dropped out, so they called me up to their games, and it was just, I guess, being able to get that game experience is what really helped me. Being able to practice that many times a week with someone at that high level, and on top of that, we the 23s would train with the A team, and so that helped a lot as well. They definitely pushed us to have to be faster and play smarter, stronger, and it's just doing that 3 days a week, every week for pretty much the whole summer helped me to kind of get used to it. It's kind of like your first year in high school, your first year of something, slightly better, maybe club, that kind of is that warming up period where you have to get used to it. And that definitely helped me a lot.
Great stuff, man. Now, of course, how did you find the transition, Sheldon, obviously coming from a kid to a young man to an adult? I mean, how have you found the transition from kind of going from kind of youth football, youth soccer to the men's level now that you kind of find yourself in? Because obviously in collegiate, guys that you're playing with are maybe tend to be like 18, 19, but as well you're kind of playing with 22, 23, 24, 25-year-old men, kind of at that collegiate level. How have you found that transition, mate? And what have been the biggest differences you found during that change from kind of boys football, boys soccer to men's football and soccer?
Well, the main difference I would say is the physicality. So a lot more shoulder-to-shoulder battles with people, and even you learn, a lot of tugging and pulling, and just a lot more contact with big grown men that are definitely stronger than you. But at least that's what I thought at first. One thing I learned is that they may be a little older than you, but if you fight back and if you push into them as well, that's definitely an easier battle than you would think. So I guess that's the main thing I found was it was very, very physical game. It's shot up. It's very different. In youth, even at the oldest stage, around 16, 17, it starts to get physical, but it's really nowhere near this. I mean, there's way more tackles, way more, like I said, body-to-body contact, a lot more people pressing you at once, I guess you could say. In high school, you could be one player and have time to look up and see what you're going to do next, but this was thinking 3, 4, sometimes 5 steps ahead to try and get past more than one defender, or to try and make the right pass at the right time instead of waiting too long and then they're already on you, kind of thing.
No, definitely, man. Again, obviously, listen to your story there, and obviously someone that's kind of gone through a similar pathway, but obviously at home in England. I mean, you're right. As a kid, you kind of develop your technical skills and whatnot. Obviously, the older you get, your more tactical side comes out, and then obviously the further you get on from that, it becomes more physical. And again, kind of listen to the differences that you've explained, where you kind of go through club soccer, then you go into high school soccer, then you go into collegiate. Obviously, I mean, it's a different pathway in the States, but again, it's very similar to the UK in the fact that it's the same kind of way that it's done, the same template, from the technique to the tactic to the physicality. Kind of just going back onto it all now, Sheldon, in terms of your club soccer, and then obviously your high school, and then going into collegiate. I mean, what does it look like on day to day, mate? I mean, how often would you train during club soccer, and kind of what kind of stuff would you do? And then moving forward into high school, how would that look day to day? How would it look kind of with your studies and your football and your soccer? And then going into collegiate, how does that look, mate? How is it kind of differentiated, and what does it look like kind of on a day to day basis of your timetable of what you've got to do at the different levels you've played at?
Okay. So for club, I noticed it was twice a week, maybe once a week. It was really depending on your coach. Then you have that high school level, and it starts to get more regular. For me, I was lucky enough to have a period in high school that they substituted for physical education. And so I got two practices a day. We trained 3 times a day, or 3 times a week. That's after school. But we trained every day in school. And so that was kind of that next step up where you're training more, you're getting a lot more running in, a lot more taxing. One thing you'll probably find out is that you definitely have to drink more water. That should be the only thing you're drinking during that time. Because if you don't, your body's just not going to be able to recover or catch up. And then from high school, I guess with the schooling was really, I tried to find every chance I got to do my work and get it done. And then on my free time when I didn't have work, I would, mess around with the ball or do something that would help me to release. For me, it was soccer. Playing around with the ball or going to practice was my release. It was the best part of my day. And so I would work really hard on my work, try and get it done as quick as possible and as efficient as possible. And then I would also try my hardest at practice as well. And it's weird at first to try and balance it. But luckily with high school, it kind of goes up in stages for your schoolwork as well. It gets harder as you go throughout the years. So although it's your first year in high school, you got to balance soccer and schoolwork. The 9th grade, 10th grade years, generally less strenuous on the mind. And so I found way more time then to get my homework done. And when I hit junior year and senior year, that's when I started hitting that crunch time to get all my classes done. And ACT is a big thing to take, and you got to balance the time to get your work done. And I found that I had to spend a little less time outside and a little more time inside to try and get my schoolwork done. And then as soon as I could get it done, I would go out. Yeah, I guess like I said before, for me, the best thing I could do was just to find something that would help me release the stress that I had, something fun when I could. And that helped me through it. For college, the training days go up. It was every day, twice a day, and at the hottest part of the day, and crack of dawn as well. So we'd start really early. I got up at 6:20 to practice, and then we would come back and we'd eat. I would just prepare myself for the next practice session. It was at 2 o'clock, and specifically around the preseason time, it was quite hot. It was very, very hot. And so one thing I had to do was make sure I was always drinking as much water as I could. I basically just kept a bottle with me wherever I went. And so that's kind of how it progresses. Just more training, and then of course more schoolwork. Definitely more schoolwork.
That's great stuff, mate.
Balance.
Great stuff again, so obviously, and that's the key word to talk about there, mate. It's balance. And I mean, again, I've spoken to Barry Farrell, who again you're familiar with, and obviously your dad and other players too, and coaches and whatnot. Again, that key word is balance, and especially in the US and anywhere around the world. But when your studies are so important to be able to kind of progress through the school levels and kind of go from kind of middle school and high school to collegiate, you have to find that balance between playing and schoolwork. And again, it's great hearing you talk about, mate, how your release as such was football, was soccer, and obviously you wouldn't be outside playing. But when it came to the time where you had to get your grades done, you went back inside, mate, to get it done. And again, just tell people, mate, how important it is to get the grades done. Because obviously in England, where kind of as where I'm from, obviously school is massively important. But with the academy set up over there, the schoolwork isn't as high as what it is over here. So just kind of tell people how important it is to take the schoolwork seriously. And obviously, if you don't take it seriously, what the consequences of it are.
Okay. So I would say the main thing is you want to play soccer, and since the main thing about it is you're called a student athlete, which means a lot of people put it this way: student first, athlete second in high school, and even in college. If you don't get your grades done and you don't get good grades on them, then you don't play. A lot of pretty much every school and every college level, you have to have a certain GPA or grade point average to even be able to be eligible. And so if you don't balance your work and your soccer, then you won't even be able to play the soccer. And so really, it's one of those things where, you may want to be out there all the time playing, and you don't want to do schoolwork. But if you don't get that done, then you aren't going to be playing. And so it's one of those things where, it's a little give and take here and there. You gotta give a little bit of time to get your schoolwork done and get good grades, and then honestly studying and making sure that you know the material. That way you can keep up that grade and be able to play when the season comes. There was a player at another school in our district. He was actually the team's best player, and that was one person we always had to try and shut down. Well, they ended up not playing my senior year because they didn't worry about their grades. They didn't turn in assignments, and so the school had to cut them from the team. And it's just one of those things that it won't seem like it until it really happens, but it's real. School's very important. If you're there at a school, then you're there for the schooling and the sport. And when you hit pro, it's all about the sport. But until then, you really gotta worry about getting good grades and staying on top of all that so that you can do sport that you love.
And that's it, man. Again, fantastic, obviously, as well. It is, as you say, it is that student-athlete kind of mindset over here. And again, it sets you up where it is hard graft and you have to kind of put the work in the classroom. But, unfortunately, not everyone can be footballers, can be soccer players. So it is good to have that backup there and allowed to kind of go into things elsewhere. And obviously, the mindset you've got, mate, and the education you've got, whatever you do, you're going to be successful in. So credit to you. I mean, just kind of tell people now where you are in the world now, Sheldon. Obviously, you've now kind of just gone to your next college school, and you're about to kind of go and play, college football, soccer with them. Tell us all about that, man. Tell us how, obviously, with your health struggles you've had, and obviously what you've overcome there, and then kind of going through the club level and having your dad as a big influence, and obviously other people you've looked at too for inspiration in terms of pro level and going through the middle school, high school route, and then going into collegiate now. Tell everyone kind of where you've ended up, mate, and where you are playing now, and obviously what you're looking to try and do.
Yeah. So where I've ended up now, now I'm waiting for college. Right now is that training period where I'm trying to better myself, make myself as good as I possibly can be, and always better myself, even when I get to the college level. For right now, what I'm worried about specifically is getting my health back up. I've been doing fitness and running and stuff, but the main thing right now is it's not all of it's working, because I am still recovering. So I've run before this recent, COVID-19 came out. I was doing rehab and running every day. It wasn't really showing, and so I'm just now getting to the part where my body is starting to take in the exercise that I've done and then better from it. And so right now I'm just trying to stay as fit as possible and get ready, I guess, to go to that level, because when you get there for preseason, it's maybe preseason, but you only have 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks are not enough to get ready for a college game. And so it's one of those things where you need to be ready for preseason like it's the actual season. You need to be as fit as you need to be for a regular season, when you're actually in it, as you do for the preseason, and then that'll make it a lot easier. I found when I got to Meridian for preseason, being fit was pretty much the biggest part. We did a lot of running. Really, punishment was running anything. We did active rest, so in between, if we had sessions where there was only 2 people going at a time, we were running, waiting for our turn. And so main thing is to really make sure that you're trying your best to build up your endurance.
No, great stuff, man. Obviously, you've told an unbelievable story there, Sheldon. I mean, similar to Dad, you're both kind of a great people in the area, and I mean, yourself kind of inspiring a lot of people with what you've had to go through just to kind of well, kind of stay alive, really, mate, and the fight you've had to kind of win to get through that. And obviously then what you've kind of achieved in terms of your club football, your club soccer, and then your middle school, high school, kind of captain the varsity team, and now going on to collegiate football, soccer. Again, we wish you all the best, mate. Again, we can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Is there anything else you kind of like to leave people with, mate, before we end it? Any advice you would give to young players or players in England or the UK or around the world looking to come out to the States to play, and anything you'd like to really add as Sheldon Dix and advice you could pass on to people?
My advice, something that has helped me, it's definitely personal preference, was I got a coaching license and have been, going through those classes, those courses, and it has helped me see things from a different perspective. It made me change necessarily from that player perspective to a coach perspective, because throughout in high school especially, you hear my coaches especially were like, I can't go out there and win this for you, and although I want it as bad as you guys do. And so it helped me to see what they were trying to get us to see about the game that is, I guess, harder until you're kind of put in that situation. So that's one thing I would suggest, is just trying to learn about the tactical part of the game, and the in the books part of the game. That from the outside view as a coach, you have all these plays and these tactics and these formations that as a player you may not be able to see, especially a young player. But if you can get that, if you're not old enough or so to do a coaching course, maybe ask to talk to your coach, just to try and ask him some questions about what he does to coach and bring out drills, and what the underlying purpose of some drills can be. And I think that can really help you. I guess just another thing I'd say is always work really hard. Never quit. There's gonna be some things in your life that put bumps in the road, but you can always get past them. And maybe there's something that might stop you from playing soccer, but you can always find something else that you desire to do. And when you find that, just keep pushing towards it until you reach it. And then always try and better yourself when you do reach it. But yeah, that's it.
No, great stuff, man. Obviously, how old are you now, Sheldon? What age are you, if everyone that doesn't know? How old are you now, buddy?
I'm 19.
19 years old, ladies and gentlemen. So again, Sheldon Dix, fantastic mate, inspiration to people worldwide, obviously in your area, captain of the varsity team that you've kind of left now in Mississippi, and you've kind of got on to collegiate and bigger and better. And again, mate, everything you've done, we're very proud of you here, mate, and we wish you all the best with everything going forward. All right, pal?
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.